The billionaire takes her son to dinner, then sees a single dad and does the unbelievable. And please do not forget to rate our videos from 1 to 10. Eleanor Vance didn't just command boardrooms. She commanded every room she walked into. Tonight, it was Aurelia, a restaurant so exclusive the silence itself felt expensive. Across the vast white tablecloth, her son, Julian, shifted in his chair, the space between them feeling more like a battlefield than a dinner table. "I saw the quarterly projections," Eleanor said, her voice sharp, her eyes glued to her phone. "We're up 7%. Your division is lagging." Julian let out a quiet, defeated sigh. "Mom, can we please not? Just for one night? I thought we could just talk." "We are talking," she shot back, finally putting the phone down to fix him with a gaze that felt like an audit. "Success isn't built on nights off, Julian. It's built on relentless, forward motion." She talked about legacy, about the empire his grandfather built and she had quadrupled. She talked about responsibility and the weight of their name, but the words felt hollow. Julian looked at his mother, but he was dining with a CEO. He saw candlelight flicker off her diamond necklace, but there was no warmth in her eyes. She was surrounded by the finest things in the world, yet she seemed completely, profoundly alone. Julian had everything a son could want, except the one thing he craved: a mom. Just a few tables away, in a quiet corner, a whole different world existed. There sat Mark with his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Their table had no fancy champagne or multiple forks for courses they couldn't afford. They were sharing a single plate of pasta, a special birthday treat that took Mark 2 extra shifts to make happen. His suit was well worn, but his eyes were bright, lit by a love that overshadowed any hint of exhaustion. He watched as Lily carefully drew a crayon masterpiece on a paper napkin. It was a unicorn with a crooked horn. "Well now," Mark said, his voice a warm rumble. "That might be the most magical unicorn I've ever seen." Lily beamed. Lily giggled, a sweet sound that cut through the stuffy restaurant air. "She's granting wishes, Daddy. What should we wish for?" Mark paused, cutting a piece of pasta for her. He looked at his daughter, her face glowing in the candlelight, and his expression was pure adoration. "I think," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion, "I think all my wishes already came true." He didn't have a stock portfolio to check or a merger to discuss. His entire world was in the chair across from him, in a smile missing a front tooth and a small hand that reached across the table to find his. In the grand, gilded cage of Aurelia, Mark and Lily were the only two people who were truly free. Eleanor's gaze drifted from her son's unhappy face, pulled by the pure, light sound of a child's laughter. Her eyes landed on the corner table, on the man with the tired eyes and the little girl with the bright face. Her first thought was pure judgment. How can they even afford to be here? But she kept watching. She saw the father lean forward to gently wipe a speck of sauce from his daughter's chin. She saw him listen, truly listen, as the little girl explained her crayon drawing. She saw the girl hold up the napkin like a proud artist, and she saw the father's face break into a smile so genuine it hit Eleanor like a physical blow. In that one moment, Eleanor Vance didn't see a poor man. She saw the richest man she had ever known, rich in a way she couldn't begin to understand. The silence at her own table was suddenly deafening. The expensive food in front of her, tasteless. She looked at her own son, the handsome, distant man across from her, and a memory pierced through her armor. Julian, at that same age, holding up a finger painting from school. She was on a conference call. "Not now, Julian," she'd said, waving him away. "Mommy's working." She hadn't just waved him away for a moment. She'd been waving him away for 20 years. The father laughed with his daughter again, and the sound didn't annoy Eleanor. It broke her. It was the sound of everything she had sacrificed for success. It was the sound of warmth, of connection, of a life she'd decided she was too busy to lead. The cold weight of her diamonds suddenly felt heavier, like anchors. She looked at the man's worn-out suit, then at her son's designer one, and for the first time, She understood what real poverty looked like. It was sitting at her own table. Julian watched, completely stunned, as a single tear rolled down his mother's cheek. She wiped it away furiously, as if angry at her own emotions. Then, she did something he'd never seen her do before. She stood up, not like a CEO taking charge, but like someone stepping onto unfamiliar ground. The restaurant's hum seemed to fade as Eleanor walked away from her table and toward the corner where Mark and Lily sat. Mark looked up, panicked, assuming they were about to be kicked out. He started gathering their things. "Please don't," Eleanor said. Her voice was softer than Julian had ever heard it. No command, no pressure. It was just a voice. She looked right at Lily. "That is a magnificent unicorn," she said, a small, fragile smile on her lips. Lily beamed. "She grants wishes." Eleanor's smile widened, and she turned to Mark. "My name is Eleanor. My son and I were about to order dessert. The chocolate cake here is supposed to be legendary, but it feels wrong to have it alone. Would you and your daughter do us the honor of joining us?" Mark just stared, completely bewildered. He looked at the impossibly elegant woman, then at her son, then back again. He saw no pity in her eyes, only a strange, quiet sincerity. It didn't feel like charity. Felt like an invitation. Hesitantly, he nodded. "We'd like that very much." That was the unbelievable act. It wasn't about money or a grand, flashy gesture. It was a bridge. A powerful, notoriously cold billionaire had crossed a social chasm, not to give a handout, but to ask for something far more valuable. A moment of shared warmth. The four of them sat together at the large table, but it no longer felt cold. Lily chattered on about school and her unicorn's magic, and for the first time all night, Eleanor truly listened. She didn't check her phone. She didn't interrupt. She just asked questions, her eyes full of a light Julian hadn't seen since he was a little boy. She learned that Mark was a talented architect who'd been laid off a year ago, working odd jobs ever since to keep his family afloat. He didn't speak with bitterness, just the quiet dignity of a man doing what he had to do for the person he loved most. As he spoke, Eleanor felt the icy fortress around her heart finally begin to melt. Julian watched his mother, not as a CEO, but as a woman being humbled and changed by the simple power of a father's love. In that moment, a new kind of legacy was being born, one not measured in stock prices, but in connection. A plan began to form in Eleanor's mind. It wasn't a handout, but a hand up. Her company's new development wing needed a lead architect. It needed a man who understood how to build a home, not just a house. True wealth isn't locked away in a bank vault. It's found in the quiet moments of connection that make us human. It's in shared laughter, in listening to a stranger's story, and in having the courage to step out of our own world and into someone else's. Eleanor Vance walked into that restaurant a billionaire, but she left it a truly rich woman. Her greatest acquisition wasn't going to be another company. It was the rediscovery of her own heart. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us of the good in the world.